Manchester United's team in the 07-08 season has always been considered as one of the greatest Manchester United teams, especially under Sir Alex Ferguson. During the season, Manchester United went on to win the famous double, putting on some fantastic attacking displays. In the Premier League, Sir Alex Ferguson's team went on to win 27 of their 38 league games, drawing 6 and losing 5. They went on to score the most goals in the league, 80, but also had a mean defence and only conceded 22 goals whilst claiming 21 clean sheets. The front three of Tevez, Rooney and Ronaldo were devastating, scoring 70% of Manchester United's Premier League goals. But now we're going to look more into why this team was so devastating in attacks and solid in defence. My name is RDF and today's video is all about Sir Alex Ferguson's greatest Manchester United's team, the 2007-2008 tactic. And of course, like usual, I have a treat. There are going to be 2 tactics and there's also some training schedules, but now let's get stuck in. Sir Alex Ferguson during the 2007-2008 season was tactically intriguing as he never kept to one system, but the system mainly used in the Premier League was a 4-4-2-4-3-3 hybrid, which he used to dominate most sides. The front three of Tevez, Rooney and Ronaldo had the freedom in attack to express themselves, but they also remained very high to keep constant pressure on the opponent's defence. In the centre of the park, Manchester United had 2 midfield maestros in Michael Carrick and Paul Scholes. Michael Carrick would often play deeper than Scholes to recycle possession, but also to collect the ball from the defence and feed Paul Scholes, who was the more aggressive playmaker. Paul Scholes had the licence to either sit in midfield and look to spray passes, or he could travel with the ball as the front three were playing high, meant that space was created. Manchester United were a counter-attacking team, so this was key. On the left of the midfield, Giggs played most of the games and he had the job of remaining wide and beating his man when possible. But it was the defence that was the foundation for this side. The back four hardly missed a game and they were ever present and the personnel were balanced. In the heart of defence was Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. Ferdinand was a player who was quick on his feet and was tactically intelligent both on the ball and off the ball, and he had the ability to play counter-attacking or the more direct pass. Vidic was the hard man in defence, willing to put his body on the line, but also we can't take away from the fact that Vidic was still a composed player on the ball, but maybe did not have the technical qualities like Ferdinand. On the right was Wes Brown, who at the time was filling in for Gary Neville, who was out with a long-term injury. Brown provided width when needed and he could support the attacks, but it was Patrice Evra, who was the left back, who had more licence to get further forward and support Giggs on the left by overlapping. Against tough opponents, Park Ji-sung or Owen Hargreaves was often used on the right side of midfield, remaining compact and putting in a shift. This meant either Giggs or Tevez would be the players who were sacrificed. That was the basics of this team. Let's look more into their attacking firepower. Most teams in the Premier League, if not all, could not handle the 3 superb attackers who connected and played with freedom and fluidity. Cristiano Ronaldo scored 31 Premier League goals that season, averaging 1.01 goals per game. Carlos Tevez scored 14 goals, which is also a good return, but as these 2 players did most of the penetrating, Wayne Rooney was being the creator. He finished the season with 11 assists, the most from a striker that season, but impressively, he almost managed to score 0.5 goals per 90. Ronaldo started most of the games out on the right, and as both wingers, Ronaldo and Giggs, remained wide, they still had different roles and duties. Giggs would mainly hug the touchline, though not exclusively, and played more like an out-and-out winger, but Ronaldo would often cut inside with the ball from the right with the opportunity to feed an attacker or shoot from distance. When not possible to do either, he could still beat the man and go on the outside. Ronaldo and Tevez were both highly energetic, but not quite your pressing forwards. They worked hard for the team and both players had the ability to link up, but it was Rooney who had more of the freedom to drop deeper to create space and create goal scoring chances. But the two had a fluid system, as occasionally Tevez would drop deeper and allow Rooney to be the furthest player. The front three were match winners and were relied upon. Ronaldo had a goal contribution of 37, which was the most in the league. Rooney had a goal contribution of 23, which would rank him 7th, and Tevez was ranked 10th in goal contribution, contributing to 20 goals. That's 3 players in the top 10 for the goal contributions that season. But now we've discovered why they're so potent in attack, let's dive into the defence. Manchester United operated in a mid-block to keep vertical lines compact. This meant they were very difficult to play through, but also complemented their counter-attacking approach. Sir Alex Ferguson was a manager who trusted these players both in attack and defence. They were not exactly a pressing team. In fact, their lower line of engagement meant that they were inviting pressure and relied on players to be tactically aware to win the ball for the side. In defensive situations, Vidic and Ferdinand were well prepared to handle most situations thrown at them. With Giggs in the latter stages of his career by this point, Evra also shared the responsibility of providing that flank with width and speed, whilst on the right side, Wes Brown was a lot more cautious. If United did lose the ball, interestingly enough, it wouldn't be Ronaldo doing the tracking back. Depending on the striker playing on the same side as Ronaldo, that striker could be seen tracking back on the right hand side. This allowed Ronaldo to stay further forward and prepare for a counter-attack. Against the bigger sides, Paul Scholes would also drop deeper in central midfield, adding that extra security. So for the conclusion, Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United's 2007-2008 double winning team was a team that had it all: blistering pace in attack to aid their counter-attacks and a rock-solid defence. The 4-4-2-4-3-3 hybrid was the most frequent formation used in the league, while Fergie also showed his tactical class in the Champions League by changing and swapping his system around. The front three of Tevez, Rooney and Ronaldo had speed, energy, but most importantly were very clinical. They had a fluid system, they all could play wide, they all could play centrally, and the changing of positions meant it was impossible to prepare defensively. And that wraps up RDF Sir Alex Ferguson's 2007-2008 tactical analyst. We're now going to go into Football Manager, where I have my two tactics. One is mainly used for the home games and in the Premier League. The other is just a bonus tactic which I tried to use in the Champions League, but admittedly the 4-4-2-4-3-3 hybrid was the much more effective tactic. But now let's look at the tactic, results and training schedules. So here we are. As you can see, the first tactic here is RDF Sir Alex Ferguson 4-4-2, which is a 4-3-3 hybrid also. We have the back four, we have our midfield three, and we also have our forward three. But we also do have a second tactic where I did use in the Champions League, and it's aimed to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more solid in midfield, not allowing the opposition's number 6 to play and build from the back. But we are going to look at the main tactic, as this tactic is just a tweak. It's got the same instructions but slightly different player roles. But in goal, we have our standard goalkeeper. He has no instructions, he's on the defensive duty. Our left back, our Patrice Evra, he's on the wing back role and support duty. He will be crossing more often and crossing aim into the centre. For this Manchester United team, it would be Luke Shaw. In defence, we have a central defender on the defend duty, which would be our Nemanja Vidic. And in Football Manager, it would be my Lindelof, or it would be my Eric Bailly. And his defensive partner would be the ball-playing defender on the cover duty, which is my Harry Maguire, which Harry Maguire doesn't really have the speed to be a cover defender. And for our right back, we have Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who would be our Wes Brown. He will be aiming his crosses into the centre. On the left hand side of midfield is going to be our Ryan Giggs, our winger on the attack duty. He will be aiming his crosses also into the centre. For this season, I did use Alex Telles a lot, and I also did use Daniel James or Marcus Rashford when I wanted to be more attacking. In central midfield, for our Michael Carrick role, our deep line playmaker on the defend duty, I did often use Paul Pogba. And for our Roman playmaker, this will be our Bruno Fernandes, our Paul Scholes. He's going to take more risk, he's going to roam from his position, also try and affect play as our main playmaker. On the right hand side of attack, which would be our Cristiano Ronaldo, I do have Marcus Rashford, I do have Anthony Martial, and I also have Cavani, all of which can play in all three positions, which is what I did. I didn't have a set player on the right, and I didn't have a set player on either of the striking positions. I did stop and change and roam around as Sir Alex Ferguson did. But on the right, we do have the inside forward on the attack duty. He will be roaming from his position, and he will be staying wider. Up front, our Wayne Rooney mostly would be our deep line forward. He would be roaming from his position and staying wider, whilst in attack, we do have a more penetrating striker, someone that's going to be closing down loose balls, chasing those counter-attacking balls, our advanced forward, our Carlos Tevez. He's going to be roaming from his position also. And for the tough away tactic, we have moved the inside forward on the attack over to the left hand side. In central midfield, our pool goals, we are now going to be a little bit more cautious. So from a roaming playmaker to a deep line playmaker, and on the right hand side, someone that's going to be a workhorse, our defensive winger on a support duty. Now, I believe a wide midfielder is more of a true replication, but the wide midfielder on this game was pretty much useless for me. In attack, we do have a shadow striker supporting our deep line forward. But for the team instructions, the mentality is unbalanced. For our attacking width, we have set it to wide, so we're going to stretch the play. Our wide play is maintaining that width. For the approach play, we are going to pass into space to aid our counter-attacks. We also are going to play out of defence because we do want to use the two central midfielders when building any attacks. We do want our Michael Carrick and we do want our Paul Scholes on the ball. We don't want to constantly play the long ball, as these two central midfielders would hardly then get a touch off the ball. But for the passing directness, it is set to standard with the higher tempo. In the final third, for the creative freedom, our attacking players, which is mainly the front three, they have the creative freedom of being more expressive. So in transition, when the possession has been lost, we will counter press, but don't worry, that does not mean relentless pressing. When the possession has been won, we will make our counter movements to aid our counter attacks, and when the goalkeeper is in possession again to aid the counter attacks, he will be distributing it quickly. Now, the reason why I went for the counter press is because we do have the lower line of engagement. When our line of engagement is breached, we aren't then just going to sit back and continue to invite pressure. That is not exactly what Manchester United did. Once that line of engagement was broken, players were tactically smart and knew when to press, knew when to close down opposition when they had loose touches of the ball. Also, they had to win the ball for the team to go on a counter-attack. For the team to have that blistering counter-attack constantly during the match, we have to win the ball in order to set up that counter-attack. So that is why I went with the counter-press. Out of possession, for our defensive shape, we do have the lower line of engagement, trying to keep our vertical lines compact, our left midfielder being close to our left mid, our centre backs not being too distant from our central midfielders. So that meant our defensive line had to stay on standard. Our defensive width, we are forcing the opposition on the outside. The marking and tackling, we are using tighter marking. We want to press or win the ball back when the opposition have a poor first touch. Our pressing intensity is then set to more urgent, which doesn't translate into extremely urgent. And our tackling, we are getting stuck in. Again, most of these instructions are there to aid our counter-attack, but that wraps up the tactic. Like I said, for the tough away games, the instructions were exactly the same thing. So that wraps up the tactic. We are now going to look at the results, because the results are also very impressive, especially when you want to compare them to real life. So let's go to the Premier League, where in the Premier League we did win the league. We played 38, we won 29, we drew 5 and we lost 4 games. We managed to score 90, which is fairly close to real life, and we conceded 26, which is again fairly close to real life. In real life, they did concede less, but they scored less. I scored more, but conceded more. So for the team statistics, the detailed stats, for the average possession, Manchester United were 8th with 51% of the average possession, but for the goals, we scored the most goals in the league with 90 goals scored. For the expected goals for, we didn't finish first, we finished third with 71.23 expected goals. I don't think XG was alive back in 07-08, so we don't really have anything to compare that with. But for clear-cut chances created, we did come in joint 4th with 100 clear-cut chances created. We had the best conversion rate in the league. Now, that is something that I am very impressed with, because it meant that the counter-attacking system is working. Though we didn't have the most shots for in the league, we still were very, very clinical. And that is mostly because of the counter-attack, opening and exploiting that space, creating better chances for us to then be clinical. Defensively, we had the second best defence in the league instead of the first, but only 2 goals behind Arsenal, which is very surprising. We did get 20 clean sheets, just 2 or 1, I can't remember, but 2 or 1 away from real life. When it comes to interceptions, we made the 17th most interceptions. We wasn't pressing high and we wasn't pressing with that intent. So that just goes to show you can use that counter pressing instruction without it meaning you are going to be pressing intensely. When it comes to tackles won, we've won the most tackles in the league. Thank you, counter-attacking and staying deep, winning those tackles. We completed 1,064 tackles, but we're now going to look at the player statistics because that's also interesting. Anthony Martial was the top goal scorer with 27 goals in the league. Edison Cavani scored 14. I believe Tevez scored 14 whilst Ronaldo scored 31. My Ronaldo, which would be Anthony Martial I guess, scored 27. Whilst Edison Cavani, which would be our Tevez, scored 14. And Marcus Rashford, you can say, was our Wayne Rooney with 13. Those players didn't actually play like Tevez, Rooney and Ronaldo. I'm just saying, with the goals scored, Ronaldo scored the most, so Martial is our Ronaldo. For the assist, Bruno Fernandes, 14 assists. Our Paul Scholes managed to get 14 assists. For the key passes, Bruno Fernandes played the most key passes for Manchester United with 106. Those are the team statistics in the league. We're now going to look at the club statistics. So we can see that Martial scored 36 goals, Rashford scored 18, Edison Cavani scored 16, Paul Pogba's there with 9, Mata with 8, Bruno Fernandes and Daniel James also with 8. For the assist, we can see Bruno Fernandes almost 20 assists, 19 assists to his name. Edison Cavani got 12, so he contributed to a lot of goals. In the Champions League, we did get knocked out by FC Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. In the FA Cup, we got knocked out in the 5th round, and in the Carabao Cup, we got knocked out in the 4th round. So we did not manage to achieve that double. But in the Champions League, we did get some good performances using that away tactic. So in the first knockout round, we did beat Barcelona home and away, and in the quarter-final stage, we almost beat Bayern Munich as they scored the 92nd minute to go through on away goals. Incredibly harsh, but I'm guessing Bayern Munich, they want some revenge on Manchester United in the Champions League. But in the group stages, you can see we beat Juve 5-2. Olympiacos, we went away and beat them 3-1. We beat them 6-1 at home. We lost 4-0 away to Juve. Again, at that time, I think I qualified already, so I didn't want to play my full strength team. And against Young Boys away, we beat them 3-2. In the league, if I check the last 50 matches, even though we've only played 38, 58 of our goals were placed shots, 10 were powerful shots, 2 were curled shots, 1 was a lob, 7 were headers and 3 were penalties. For the assist, 30 of them were through balls, 13 of them were crosses, 3 were from corners, 9 from free kicks, 9 from short passes, 7 from the opposition mistakes, 3 from medium passes and 1 from the square ball. But finally, and to wrap up this video, we are now going to look at the training and what I did for the training. So here we are. When we had one match during the week, this is what we focused on: teamwork, defending disengaged, our team bonding, restricting the space, attacking directly, converting our chances, creating our chances, attacking movement, possession and teamwork, also some match reviewing. When there was 2 matches during the week, we focused on the teamwork, attacking movement, restricting the space, attacking directly, as I feel that is very important to the system. We do some teamwork training and we also do some match review training. But that, my friends, wraps up this very interesting video. Sir Alex Ferguson's 2007-2008 tactic from the double winning season. Thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for listening. My name is RDF, it has been a pleasure. Don't forget, if you are new or you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment if you have any recommendations. I will see you soon, stay safe, peace out, and shout out to all my Patreons.